While Greek thinkers in 600 BC were defining the abstract rules of geometry, a man on the banks of the Ganges was focused on the visceral. He was taking living skin from a prisoner's cheek and stitching it over the empty space where a nose had been severed. This was a response to a brutal social reality. In ancient India, physical mutilation was a common legal penalty, a permanent, visible brand of a person's crimes or social failings. Sushruta, working here in ancient Varanasi, was more than a healer. He offered a physical method to erase these brands, using a scalpel to provide a fresh start for those the law had marked for life. This meant India possessed the practical techniques for complex reconstructive surgery 2,000 years before European medicine attempted the same procedures. It is a striking chronological gap, especially considering that the modern center of gravity for these procedures has shifted entirely to places like Hollywood and Seoul. The mystery is why this early lead vanished. India invented the foundations of biotechnology, yet the civilization did not retain its dominance over the field. Sushruta's work shows deep technical mastery. He designed over 120 surgical instruments to perform tasks from delicate cataract removals to full facial reconstructions. His choice for preserving this knowledge, however, was his strategic undoing. He relied on the guru-shishya tradition, a private master-to-student pipeline, keeping techniques confined within small, isolated social circles. Had these techniques been integrated into the state's military and administrative organs, they could have formed a medical-industrial complex, a centralized system making the science a permanent pillar of the ruling elite. Instead, the knowledge was left vulnerable when cultural values shifted. The rise of Buddhism brought a focus on nonviolence, reshaping how bodies were treated. The specific breaking point was a religious ban on the dissection of corpses. Without a sanctioned way to study anatomy, the practical foundation required for surgery began to erode and was eventually lost to superstition. By framing surgery as a localized service rather than state-protected science, Sushruta's discoveries were eventually buried by the culture that produced them. To understand the cost of that loss, what if Sushruta's scalpel became a tool of state power? In this alternate timeline, India achieves early mastery of the human body. By 500 AD, they enter a period of rapid advancement in biological grafts. These military clinics move from skin grafts to bone manipulation. They produce soldiers with reinforced skeletons and grafts designed to withstand extreme battlefield trauma. This physical durability provides a decisive advantage on the battlefield, rendering the standard weapons used by Macedonian and Persian invaders far less effective. Global trade shifts to a medical Silk Road. Caravans no longer prioritize spices or silk. The most valuable cargo is biological knowledge and medical care. Roman emperors and foreign kings travel east, offering gold not for luxury goods, but for surgical procedures that could extend their lives by decades. In this reality, biological capital, the health and longevity of the human body, becomes the primary currency of the world. In the year 2026 of this alternate timeline, a global monopoly named Sushruta Global manages the world's healthcare and biological technology. The standard for communication isn't a handheld device, it's a neural interface integrated directly into the spine, a refinement of tissue grafting techniques. Sanskrit is the language of global software, its logical structure providing a perfect framework for the complex coding required to sequence biological data. While the West remains a collection of agrarian provinces, the East has moved to Mars, using bodies modified to breathe and function in low-pressure environments. This entire interplanetary civilization is a direct, compounding result of those first successful skin grafts performed in an ancient river city. But historical reality is far quieter. The empire of biological mastery never emerged. Sushruta remained a healer, practicing his craft in a tradition that was highly personal and disconnected from the long-term protection of the state. Without an institutional buffer to protect these scientific breakthroughs, the knowledge lacked the social momentum needed to survive the major religious and legal shifts that eventually banned the study of anatomy. This challenges the common assumption that knowledge inherently equals power. Raw knowledge lacks the resilience to survive on its own. It is a fragile asset that can be erased in a single generation if it isn't anchored to a protective social structure. Power is found in the institutional monopoly. the framework that guards a discovery and ensures its survival long after the discoverer is gone.